In the rolling hills of Tuscany, specifically between 1968 and 1985, 16 people were murdered while parked in secluded lovers' lanes, all killed by the exact same .22 caliber Beretta pistol.
Wait, Tuscany? Like the postcard perfect wine country? That's the last place I'd expect a serial killer to be lurking for nearly 20 years.
It transformed paradise into a nightmare. The killer didn't just shoot his victims, he performed ritualistic surgical mutilations that suggested something far more sinister than a random attack.
So we're talking about a professional, or just a very lucky psychopath who knew how to dodge the police.
To understand this, we have to go back to August 1968, in a town called Lastra a Signa, where a couple was found shot to death in their Alfa Romeo.
Okay, classic lover's lane setup. But back then, did they even have the term serial killer in Italy?
Not really, and that was the problem. The police looked at it as a simple crime of passion.
Let me guess, they arrested the husband.
Exactly, Stefano Mele, the husband of the female victim, actually confessed after some pressure. But the real mystery was his 6-year-old son, who was asleep in the back seat and somehow escaped unharmed.
That's a miracle. But if the husband went to jail, why did the killings keep happening?
That's the chilling part. Stefano Mele was behind bars when the same gun re-emerged 6 years later in 1974, proving the killer was still out there.
So the police had the wrong guy in a cell while the real monster was just waiting?
It's worse than that. They didn't even realize the gun was the same until 1982, meaning for 14 years, they weren't even looking for a serial killer. By the early 1980s, the monster was in high gear, attacking couples with terrifying precision and escalating the gore.
You mentioned surgical mutilations earlier. What exactly was this person doing?
He began removing the pubic areas and later the left breasts of the female victims with a notched knife, often in total darkness.
That's not just a murder. That's a ritual. Did he leave any clues behind at these scenes?
Almost nothing, which led the investigators down a rabbit hole of theories, starting with the Sardinian Trail, thinking it was a clan of immigrants protected by a code of silence.
But if it's a clan, why use the same gun for every single hit?
That's what the lead investigator, Ruggero Perugini, wondered. So he pivoted to a new suspect, an uneducated, brutish farmer named Pietro Pacciani.
The classic suspect, the creepy loner in the woods.
Pacciani was a nightmare of a human being, but the case against him was paper thin, resting on one unfired bullet found in his garden.
One bullet? That's all they had for 16 murders?
It was enough to convict him in 1994, but the verdict was overturned 2 years later because the evidence was just too shaky.
So the police are failing, the suspects are dying or getting released, and the public is losing their minds.
It gets weirder. The prosecution then claimed Pacciani didn't act alone, but was part of the Snack Buddies, a group of local drunks who supposedly killed for a secret cult of wealthy aristocrats.
A satanic cult in the middle of the Italian countryside? That sounds like a movie plot used to cover up bad police work.
Many people agree. They even targeted a respected doctor, Francesco Narducci, whose mysterious death in a lake was supposedly tied to the cult procuring body parts for rituals.
Did they ever find the gun? The one piece of physical evidence that actually connects all the crimes?
Never. To this day, the .22 Beretta has never been recovered, making it a ghost gun that ties 16 lives together.
So after decades of trials and snack buddies and cult theories, is the case actually closed?
Technically, 2 of Pacciani's friends were convicted and died in prison, but most historians and journalists believe the true monster was never caught.
It feels like the investigation itself became a monster, destroying the lives of suspects and distracting from the victims.
It changed Italy forever, ending the innocence of the Tuscan countryside and exposing a justice system that was willing to chase ghosts rather than face the facts.
It's the ultimate cautionary tale about tunnel vision in police work.
Even famous writers like Thomas Harris were inspired by it. He lived in Florence while researching Hannibal, drawing directly from the monster's clinical cruelty.
All right, Alex, what's the one thing to remember about the monster of Florence?
It's the story of how a single missing handgun and a series of ritualistic crimes turned a city of art into a city of fear for nearly 20 years.
That's Wikipedia. Every story, on demand. Search your next topic at wikipedia.ai.